Hello everyone, my name is Marcell Murray, also known as Pandorum_X on Twitch, and this was a long time coming. This is the Rant-A-Way podcast, where we don't just talk about your favorite things, we rant away about them. I have my co-host and arguably best friend here with me today, Money Green. Say hello, JJ.
Hello, everybody. This is Bernard Money Green coming at you live from the hood, and just trying to keep it real. Hope everybody's doing well out there.
Yes, sir, I dig it. All right, guys, listen. This is our first ever podcast, audio podcast at that, so feel free to listen to us in the background while gaming, cleaning, driving to work, or leaving work, because Lord knows we want to leave our jobs, ain't that right?
Absolutely. Or at work, if you can get away with listening to it at work or whatever, you got some downtime, you're doing something, just throw this on in the background.
Tell your old boss to take a hike.
Man, to these two guys talking about stuff that, you're passionate about.
And it might be passionate to you as well. If you get triggered or offended, please leave your emotions at the door. Bless. All right, so, Money, what do we have on the chopping block for today?
We talked about this before. Obviously not here because this is the first time we're talking about anything here, but we talked about this one before. You said to me, and also, I think that you're following from Twitch and stuff. Have you talked about like movies there?
Oh, occasionally. We weave in and out of it, but nothing too in depth where I'm ranting.
So like your big passion on like, filmmaking and films in general. I wanted to kind of get that one out there a little bit of a different side from, the gaming. I mean, obviously we want to talk about gaming and stuff like that too, but I figured we'd do some movie topics.
Okay.
Or a movie topic, especially with, a couple of weeks the Oscars is coming up. And we talked about a couple of these before. So the Oscars, do you care about that at all? Does it mean anything to you? Could you care less about it?
Yeah, no, funny enough, as someone who went to school for like filming and acting, I just never cared for it. It always felt like what's the word? I don't want to say circle jerk because I feel like that's too strong of language, but it's like it just felt like this favoritism party, because like how it is when it comes to like animated movies. If it looks like it's for kids, then it's for kids, when that's obviously not the case. But that just seems to be the rhetoric in the upper echelons of Hollywood, that it just feels like such a waste of time to even watch it. I think the only time it really popped off when people cared about it was when that whole Will Smith thing happened.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say hopefully, this year it is more focused because I mean we had a few good movies this year. Hopefully it's more focused on the actual films and whatnot instead of the theatrics.
The slapping of another man.
The theatrics going on at the show, but yeah, hopefully it's more focused on, and it's good that you said something about animation movies, not being taken too serious. I know that a few years ago the comedians and comedic actors were talking about how they don't like it that comedy movies are not really taken too serious. I don't even think they have an award for comedy movie, or they might have just added an award for comedy movies, but before I don't think that they took them too serious either. So it is a bit, I do agree that a lot of people don't make it the be all end all. I mean, some people wanted Leonardo to finally get an Oscar, and he did a few years ago, and other people want other people to get that award. But touching on animation movies, a big animation movie for us came out last year, and I wanted to talk about what you thought about that, because I honestly feel like Across the
Oh,
Spider-Verse
heck yeah.
should be up for best animation, but I feel like it should be up for a couple of other awards more than just best animation.
I
What do
would
you
I,
think?
w- I would think so too, as far as like animation goes, and just how impactful that story was. I mean, like, I saw it like what, 6 times, I think. It was like
You
5 or
saw you
6
saw a
times,
lot
yeah.
of time.
Yeah, I
You
was finding an
saw a lot
excuse
of
to
time.
bring like every individual person to that theater to go see it. I kind of want to do the same thing with Sound of Freedom, because I know that movie was last year, but it was so, I guess, like heavily suppressed just by marketing and word of mouth
That's
that
another one.
yeah,
Yeah.
like there was just like really no way I could get people to watch it. Plus, it's not it's definitely not like a feel good film. I know it can be triggering for some, but that was another movie that was on my radar that I went out of my way on a Wednesday, I believe, to go and see. So I enjoyed that. And yeah, there's just something about movies that are either too serious, that are like they're not clean enough to be considered the face of what Hollywood would want to be representative of. And I feel like Spider-Man is just like that perfect thing across the board, where like it's colorful, it's got a good message, it's got fun characters, it's got good music. Um it's good, but it's like safe good. But it's an amazing movie all the same. And I hope it does get what's the equivalent to Game of the Year but for movies?
It would be Best Picture of the Year.
Best Picture of the Year, which is so weird because I feel like every other trailer that comes out, they're saying that like critics are calling Winnie the Pooh the #1 movie in America, and I'm like, but you told me like Taken was the movie of the year last year. I don't know. It's just like it's so weird. Like narrator guy, if you're ever out there and you ever see this dusty podcast at like 2 a.m, please tell us what the process is for that. But I hope Spider-Man does get
Well,
it.
I think there's more of a rating thing because I mean, they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, this movie is based on a true story," and meanwhile, robots are falling out the sky and the aliens are coming and well, or loosely based on true events or something. Like, I think that over time the labels have gotten a bit less serious. Every game has a game of the year edition or
Yeah,
whatever the case, and
like Fall
and
Cry
now
6,
this
even though
one.
it won absolutely nothing, which was weird. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
what?
know what I mean? So those labels don't really, have as much sticking power as, they might have used to. But
Right.
yep, no, Across the Spider-Verse is only up for let me see, it wasn't exactly best animation. How did they word it? They worded it animated feature. It's only up for that one. And I think that what I was thinking when I watched Across the Spider-Verse was, so I went with you
Mm-hmm.
and your little bro, and we had somebody else with us too, right?
Yes, we also had Sage with us.
No, not we didn't go with Sage. I think you went. Did you go with Sage
Oh, that's
later?
right. So yeah, you're right. I went with Sage later down the road, but at first it was his friend, Lewis. So it was us
Yeah,
four. It
yeah,
was
it was
Lewis,
Lewis.
you, my little brother, and then myself. And then when we went again,
So
I
I
took
went.
him, and yeah.
So I went with y'all the first time, and then I went with my mother the second time. And the reason why I feel so strongly about that movie should deserves more consideration is because I feel like it's the kind of movie that you can watch with different audiences, or like, you could watch with a different person, and it kind of fits into like everybody, and you always take something away different away from it. Like I watched it with you and it was a cool comic, like, cartoon animated movie. And then, when I was watching with my mother, me and her was laughing about, like the family aspect, the coming of age part of the story and whatever. And, I mean, we could also relate to that, coming up, how we came up
Mm-hmm.
and some of the stuff in there. So I feel like, you can watch that as like a family movie where it's like, the older adult people will get something, the young adults will get something, the teenagers will get something. And you can also show it to like, the younger kids to, they're just like, oh, it's a cool little comic action movie. What like I feel like it hits all ages where I'm looking at, Best Picture, and they have like the nominees for Best Picture are American Fiction, which I mean that's pretty much for just an adult crowd. They
Mm-hmm.
have Anatomy of a Fall. You know anything about that movie? Because I don't
What's it called?
know much.
Anatomy of Fall?
Anatomy of a Fall.
Of a Fall? No, I have not heard of this.
They have Barbie, which I feel. I mean, it's another one that you can kind of take like anybody to see, but I mean, you know how I feel about Barbie.
You loved it.
Um, no, I did
I remember
not.
when you looked at me in the theater and you was like, "That was a great movie."
No, no, I did not. Because I
Dude,
was
you looked
talking
at me
to you
like
the
you were
whole
gonna
time.
kill me. I was like, "Oh my
I
gosh!"
was,
Like,
I was like, I can't believe, I got talked into seeing this. But I mean, it was what it was. And honestly, I think Barbie is probably my sleeper pick for Best Picture. Like,
mm-hmm.
I think that the internet will go crazy with memes and stuff if it does win that. But I'll sit here and be like, yeah, I'm not surprised. I told you and my mother that, yeah, this will probably be the movie of the year. Um, Another nominee is The Holdovers, which I heard good things about.
Okay.
Um, did you ever see The Holdovers?
No, but I saw the trailers and I just never had time to get into the theater and watch it.
Okay. Killers of the Flower Moon. Did you ever catch that one?
No, but you did.
That's a long movie, bro.
Well, so was Oppenheimer. Listen, we live for long movies. I had to
Oh, I
watch Birth
mean,
of a
yeah.
Nation like on top of like Das Boot back to back in high school, 12th grade. So I'm no stranger to like long marathon movies. They're fun.
Yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon is over 3 hours. But so I watched that real quickly. I watched that with a friend of mine, and we went to the movie theater. I think it was about 8 o'clock, 8 something was the showing.
Hmm.
But you know they do like 20 minutes of preview, so like 8:30 or whatever.
We love you, Maria
And
Menounos.
and then that being a um that being a 3 hour movie, and I think I went after work to see that. You know, I was there, and you know it has its moments. It was a pretty good movie. I liked it, and it taught me about a tribe of Indians in America that I didn't even know about. So I thought that
Hmm.
that was a pretty good movie. I liked the drama. I liked everything going with it. The story was solid. I understood everything, which you know we'll get to that when we talk about the other nominee. Um,
Okay.
but I thought it was a pretty solid movie. It definitely, I'm surprised it's up for Best Picture. I didn't think that it would get there. It's a good movie. I didn't think it would get there, but you know, definitely not mad at it.
You
The
think
other
Apple paid
another
for their spot?
nominee. Um, no, I don't think they had to pay for that one because I mean, you know, you kind of expect it when Martin Scorsese is putting it together, and it's got De Niro in it, and it's got DiCaprio in it, and the leading actress in that movie, she's up for Best Actress, and she did a phenomenal job in that movie as well. So I mean, it's a solid movie. You know, it's not like Napoleon, you know, where it's like, this is okay or it's all
Oh yeah,
right.
the
It's
historical
you know,
piece that we like just by contract have to put out. Like,
yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's not an Apple movie that's just, it's okay. But how the heck did it get up there for Best Picture? Now, Killers of the Flower Moon, I think, um, probably should have had more attention to it, but I think that because it's so long and you know, I don't think they did the best job of like promoting it.
yeah,
Because I
no,
know a
other
lot
than
of
it just
people that,
always being, in the slot for previews when you go to the theater, but I never saw like TV spots for it or
yeah,
ads for it like on YouTube unless it was like a week out, but that was just about
right.
it.
Because I know a lot of people that you know would be interested in the subject matter that they didn't even. I was telling them, yo, you know, you want to see this movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, and like, nah, what is it about? What is it? Like they didn't even hear of it. And I'm like, the names involved in the movie alone should have brought, you know, one part of buzz, and then you know what the movie was about should have brought like another part of buzz, but
Mm-hmm.
so it didn't really just get out there. But another nominee is a movie called Maestro. I
Maestro,
don't.
news to me. I feel like I see the logo of it in my head, but I don't know. There were like always those in between movies that are just like I don't know what name to call it to like summarize all of them, but you can tell how like and no disrespect to this, but like how generic they feel. Like we just got to put a movie out just to put something out for the year. It's like a Megan or an Exorcist movie. Like you're not really rushing to the theater to go see it, but you're just kind of like, it's there if we're in the area. There was a movie with what's her face's name? She was the lead role in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, is it Michelle Yeoh?
Michelle Yeoh, yes, and she was in this, I guess, supernatural movie. It was kind of like a who did it mystery plus supernatural elements, and I'm like, it's it's a movie that exists. It's just there to just be to like slot. It was kind of like Megan. Like Hollywood just was like, we're gonna drop this in January, so like we can get some return on investment when it's time for that tax season to come around. But it was just like Megan ended up being really popular with a lot of people, and they were like, oh well, I guess we shouldn't have took it out back and tried to shoot it. But great that it's popular. So I guess they're going to be in the works about like sequels now. But Megan came out. Was Megan the start of last year or
I I think Megan was it like I think it was the year before, no?
was it 2022?
I want to say so. Let me see. Yep, 2022.
Whoa, really?
Yep, 2022. Release date. Well, it was made. It came out right in the very beginning of like January 6th. It says of last year is when it came out.
Oh, so
But
2023.
yeah, but they
Okay.
consider it because when you click on it, it says it's a 2020. So I guess it falls in the window of like the 2022 award cycle because it came right at the beginning of
Yes,
last year.
but release date
But it
wise, it
came
came
out.
out last year at the start.
Yeah, it came out last year.
Okay.
Yep, January 6th.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Megan ended up being this fun little sleeper hit. I look at it like Chucky for like a new audience, and usually when something pulls someone in like that, if they're really enjoying it, then they'll tend to find things that are reminiscent of that or just like that. So maybe they know Chucky, maybe they know some other slasher killers out there, but Megan's like the gateway drug for horror fans.
So that movie Maestro is a biographical romantic drama film
Goodness gracious.
about the American composer Leonard Bernstein and his wife Felicia. I'm not gonna butcher that lady's last name. So,
Is she
but
from the
Bradley
Baroque period?
Cooper's Bradley Cooper's in it. Scorsese was also he produced this movie, and Steven Spielberg. Sarah Silverman's in it. So I guess, I don't know. I never heard of it either. But I
Mm.
mean, I think that's the case with like a lot of the best pictures. Because I mean, I think the best picture from the last couple years I haven't really heard of. So for it to be a nominee, I mean, no surprise there. But that is a nominee, and then the last nominee is the movie you were talking about earlier,
Godzilla?
Oppenheimer.
Oh, dang it.
No,
Wait, so Godzilla's not a part of this?
Godzilla is not nominated for Best Picture.
Man, I ain't
Would you
watching
like to
this.
ran away? Would you like to ran away on that?
I'm gonna turn into a sticky guy. No, well, I guess Godzilla did come out. It was like December 1st, right?
Oh no, it made the cut. Like it's
Oh,
up
it's
for
in the
other.
running, but
Yeah, it's up for no, it's not nominated for Best Picture. It's in other categories, but it's not for
oh
this one.
man, listen, Godzilla was tight.
I'm with you. I haven't seen it yet. I want to take my mother to see it because I told you she's the big Godzilla fan, and it was you told me it was good. A couple other people told me it was good.
Yeah,
She's not going for it, but I'm very interested to watch it. But yeah, it's not nominated for
that's
Best Picture.
crazy. That's crazy. Well, I hope it can take something home. If not, it's still gonna it's not gonna like rob it of its inherent value. Like the G-Man's been around for like almost as long as Batman. Like they'll be fine. The world is so big that we can enjoy more than one thing.
Agree. But I mean, I think it should be up there. But out of that list of those, and then I think there's some other ones called Past Lives. There's a movie called Poor Things, and there's a movie called The Zone of Interest that are also nominated.
That's
Um,
very funny.
Out of the list of those, which the other beginning ones were American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, and Killers of the Flower Moon. You got to go with Oppenheimer, right?
Hmm. I mean, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to like voting, people usually go off of recency bias and things that make them quote unquote feel good and make them laugh. So it's like Barbie gave people good laughs. I don't know if those laughs were for like the right reasons, but like, the audience was a lot more jovial and just, when it came to Barbie. Even in our theater, and when I went to other subsequent viewings of it with like my brother and some other people, the theater was just a lot more lively. Versus with Oppenheimer, I got people in there who were as old as my grandfather, and the only time they just kind of like chuckled or was just kind of like like yeah, America, was when the strength of America was being projected, which I get it. There was a little bit of like patrioticness to it, after you get through all the political intrigue, which I definitely love. Like Strauss's entire it took me a minute that it was Robert Downey Jr., but like Strauss's whole thing, I was just like so into. Um, and then like the
You'd
cross
be like,
examination
okay,
and the back and
this is
forth.
this is not Iron Man. This is a different character right here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still know him as the guy from Tropic Thunder, so yeah, like of all the roles, right, that he'd probably be canceled for if he got serious about it for like a sequel. But like, no, Downey Jr. and his father have always been just like really prolific actors. And while I'm so happy that Iron Man, like, got him focused enough where he could just zone in on his work and like get away from all that stuff, it's nice to see him do other things outside of just Iron Man and being typecasted. I did want to see Doctor Doolittle, but like I just like Eddie Murphy a little bit better. Doctor Doolittle with like Downey or anybody else, it just feels like those movies that just have to come out by like contractual obligation. Not like a who acts for this, but at the same time like who acts for this, right? It's like hey, you want to go see Paddington 2 with me? Like it's like
Yeah,
yeah,
there's I mean they do a lot of those movies nowadays.
yeah.
I
They're just
mean,
like adapting like different books like E.B. White, or something like that. It's just if you want to go see Charlotte's Web with me, I'm down for that. Just
oh,
don't
I
kill
call
me,
it the
please.
I call it the Men in Black 2 effect. Because when I watched, I
Oh.
tell my friend this all the time. Yeah, because when you watch the first Men in Black, they wrap everything up. You know what I mean? Like it's all taken care of, all neat, all done. Everything is concluded, and then all of a sudden, Men in Black 2 comes on. You're like, okay, let's watch Men. You watch Men in Black 2. I didn't watch it when it came out, so I
Mm-hmm.
caught up maybe like a couple years ago. I was catching up and watching them all. And then when I watch Men in Black 2, it's just so uninspired.
Oh
Like they
no.
look like they did the movie because they had to do the movie.
And when did the second
They
one come out?
I think like I want to say 2001.
2001. Okay. That's to all you 90s babies out there who keep thinking like, oh, older is better all the way 24/7 365. Like even when we were growing up there was some fat stinky duds, okay? I'm looking
Oh
at you
yeah.
Stuart
So
Little
two thou-
3.
so two
Um
so 2002 it came out. 2002.
okay. And how many are there? Were there 3 or 4?
Uh so there's three and then they started doing I think there's another one called like International.
Which I think was the soft
Um
reboot one, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So there's four because that one came out in 2019.
Wow, that feels so long ago but so short. Yeah, Men in
Yeah,
Black. Like
International in
it's just
2019.
like a
Yeah.
franchise that's just kind of like it's there if you need it. Um Garfield's another one that comes to mind. Like Garfield is like the male version of Hello Kitty, but for America, it'll just never die. But who knows? Maybe we'll get Marmaduke in like 2027. The
And I think they
Marmaduke
did
lore.
another they did a sequel to Matrix where they just like completely
Oh
switched everything
yeah.
around. Yeah, the one they put out on HBO
Did Keanu
Max.
come back for that or was it
He came back, but I think they tried to make it seem like, oh yeah, he's actually not the chosen one. Trinity was the chosen one all along. And I didn't watch it. A friend of mine's watched it and
uh-huh.
told me not to watch it. He took the bullet for me on that. Um, and other people said like, yeah, no, they just
He's probably busy with Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk and John Wick. You know what I mean? So
Oh, that's right. He was doing Wick at the same time too. Yeah, so he's pretty busy. I mean, either his agent's working really hard or his agent's working really hard. like,
yeah, so
like, you
I
gotta
think
get
I
these
think he
in,
wasn't
man.
too fussed, but it's like, damn, like they didn't need to make another one. And if you make another one, it's like have a have a point, have a plan. Like don't
Yeah,
do it
like
just to do
every
it. Like
sequel's got to be warranted. You know,
yeah,
I
yeah,
still
like
love you,
have a
Jurassic World,
plan.
but yes,
Jurassic, yeah. I mean, you get it. Yeah, the last one for that one is just like, yeah, man, what are we doing? I don't know.
yeah, it
I
it
don't
it,
know.
it went so far off the rails. I mean, there is a story there, and I think the extended version that I ended up buying in tandem with the theatrical version does help a lot of the scenes flow better. But yeah, no, like after coming off of the second one, I'm like, oh, we're going this way instead of this way. Okay, I'll follow it, but it's like I think the other plot line was a lot more interesting, and I still think the first one was a good like return to form just because it did in the best way possible, copy and paste a lot of Jurassic Park 1 um thematic beats and just twists and turns that it just Jurassic World was like a fun just return to form for the series. But I hear they're coming back with a whole nother uh might be a trilogy, might be a saga, but Jurassic parentheses World is coming back. I don't know if they'll use World, but Jurassic Galaxy, here we come.
We need a Jurassic break.
Just you suck. Dinosaurs are legit, all right.
We need a Jurassic break. I mean, we need a break from somebody. I mean, even like, I don't want to see another Star Wars movie for a while. Like some of these things, we just need to, we need to forget about it a little bit before they try to
Honestly, you
start
know
it
what
back.
Star Wars is becoming like? Because I keep having these heat flashes of the mind, if you will, about like trying to get into this franchise. Because like obviously for us growing up, the three were Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars, and I went with JP. And I was trying to get into Star Wars, and I saw episode 4, which was the first one chronologically. So it goes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3.
Chronological order, yeah.
Okay, so I started with episode 4, and then COVID happened, so all the libraries closed. So I was like, I guess I can't get the DVDs. But like, I was like, it was fine, like I knew there was more of a story out there, but like outside of what I used to watch on like Friday nights with the Clone Wars, I never really did much for Star Wars. And then now that it's gotten so big and it's under Disney's umbrella right now, it kind of felt like Final Fantasy 15 and how you were telling me about that. And I'm just like, I don't want to have all these different services and pull up the spreadsheet to figure out like, why the Force is the Force. So I think maybe after this, I'm just done with Star Wars and I'll just appreciate it from afar.
Well, as a Star Wars fan, you don't. Well, first off, let me say, it going to Disney was the worst thing that could have ever happened to it. But you don't have. It's not like Final Fantasy 15 is like a joke. That is a funny joke where it's like,
Guys,
yeah, you got to
please
do
don't
all of
send
these,
death threats our way.
or almost like. I mean, I like Final Fantasy 15, but it's a big hectic. Just like anybody who's listening that knows about the Fate series, Fate Stay Night, and I think somebody made a YouTube video clowning like how you would even get somebody into that, like where you would even start and how you would even begin trying to explain the whole thing to
Start
them.
with Fate
Star
Stay
Wars,
Night and then watch Fate Zero and then just stop.
well,
That's
you
it.
can, but you know what I mean? Like it's so crazy. But Star Wars is not really like that. I mean, I think the hardest thing for Star Wars is trying to figure out if you should watch in story order, which is starting with episodes 1, 2, and 3, then going 4, 5, and 6, and then doing 7, 8, 9. Or if you should start in like, the release order of watching 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9. Um, you don't have to do the card. I mean, you can. Like, I feel like all of the additional stuff,
Hmm.
like how you saying Clone Wars, which you used to watch,
Clone
like I
Wars was
feel like
legit.
it was, and that's like supplemental thing because I think a lot of people like they wanted to know when they was watching episode 2 and then they watched episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. They was like, well, in one episode the war was starting, and then in this movie the war is ending. But like, what happened in between? How did we fight a whole war so quickly? How did Anakin get to this point? How did Obi-Wan get to this point? Who is this person? Who is that person? And then Clone Wars kind of like fills in the gaps. And, it's there if you want it.
Hmm.
You don't really need it. Like, you don't have to, but it rewards you if you want to get into like the lore of it, but you don't have to have it. Like Final Fantasy 15, you jumping right in the middle of a story, and you're like, well, how does this person know this person? And we're playing with these group of friends, and they're so tight, but we don't know them. And if we're supposed to inhabit this main character and see it through his eyes, these are like his brothers, but he's bonded with them, but we don't know these people. Like, we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know how all of this came to be. We don't know what's happening. It just
Hmm.
kind of thrusts you in the middle of a story. It doesn't
But
hold
I,
your
I
hand, tell
think
you
that
where
can
to
work
go.
sometimes for stories because it's like throwing a dart at the wall and then just kind of fleshing everything out from there. Like when we watched The Last Airbender, there was already things happening in the background that led up to that point, but we're just being introduced to whatever's happening in episode 1. And in our heads we kind of use that as the anchoring point. But by the time we get to season 3, we're listening to all these backstories, or not even season 3. Like if we just go all the way up to episode 12, I think it is, where you get into like both of the characters' backstories, you kind of realize that like we weren't that far off from like how things kickstarted. And then in season 3, when we know about like the generational uh like genocide essentially that just kind of permeated throughout the rest of the show. So I think it can work for that in an instance. But I'm trying to remember, when did episode 4 of Star Wars come out? Was that like in the 70s?
I think it was the late 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we weren't born in that time, so we can't really speak much to it outside of like the history of it. But it's like I would imagine storytelling and just where you put your, rising action and then your resolutions. I feel like the structure of telling stories back then were a lot different as opposed to now. Because
Well, I think
I
that,
enjoyed the flow of 4, but I was just kind of
yeah,
like,
no,
nice, fun, hokey characters, but he's it's there was something anime about it kind of, where he was like this little country bumpkin and he just gets thrown into like something that's bigger than him. But I didn't know at the time that his dad was like, what is it, the Empire or something like that?
well, his dad is Darth Vader.
Right, but I'm saying
Luke,
what's the faction of the Empire? Or is it called the Empire?
the Empire, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, he's
it's the Galactic Federation. Um, yeah, so like I got that much of it, but because of how it was structured of its time in storytelling, I was just kind of like, okay, this is fine. Whereas if you get a story that like, I don't know, Attack on Titan, right? It's just very layered and nuanced, but that's in chronological order because that's how they set it up. Whereas with like 4, 5, 6, this is where they thought the story was gonna go, and then at some point, Lucas was probably just like, okay, um, let me dial it back a bit and tell this side of it. But you know how fans, I think for better and worse, read too much into something that the creator probably didn't account for, Like if Jesus can walk on water, then that must mean he's moving at, 3 million miles per second or something like that. And it's just like, no, I just did it because it looked cool and didn't think of like the scientific logistics that went behind it. So I think when it came
I
to Star
see that.
Wars,
Yeah.
a lot of it kind of became like this runaway train with like what the fans think it should be and what the director wanted it to be. Um, and again, for better or for worse, but there was just certain things about Star Wars where I was like, oh, wouldn't it make sense if like this character like knew this or learned the Force at this point in their life, and how could they use to manipulate it? But like again, when they made it episode 4, I'm assuming the draft of it, it was just a soap opera in space, and they thought nobody would take it
Well, I
seriously.
think I think the first 6 films were, because I mean the first 6 was all George Lucas. So I think that when he wrote it out,
Hmm.
like he had an idea of what he was doing with this one. Like this, like 4, 5, and 6, um, are clearly Luke's story. Like that's it's all about Luke, um, and his story with defeating the Empire and Darth Vader being his father and how he's gonna deal with that. Princess Leia being his sister and the whole group there. But I think that because I mean 1, 2, and 3. See, like the thing with Star Wars is like, all right, he goes and finds like an empty space and then says, I can scoop some of the stuff out of the stuff I did before and make a new story or make a story out of that. Because 1, 2, and 3 are essentially like Darth Vader's origin story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's Anakin who becomes Darth Vader. That's his origin story in 1, 2, and 3, how he came to be and whatever. Which I mean, if you watched 4, 5, and 6, and you know that Darth Vader is Anakin and vice versa, you already know up Anakin. You know where this is going. You know what
Yeah,
I
but I
mean?
think
You're
if
gonna
I had
see how he
watched
came to be.
1, 2, 3 first, it would have changed the trajectory of, I don't know, the like story impact. Because then you would have been like, oh, we follow this kid named Anakin, and then they become the Sith Lord or something, and then episode 4 kicks off, and then we're following somebody completely different. And then you know how eagle eye viewers can just pick apart almost anything and then just do like this whole like dissertation of it. And I feel like they would kind of put 2 and 2 together that these characters are related somehow before the movie would even show that scene.
Well,
Maybe
kind of
maybe
because I
maybe
think
one day I'll
that
just
I
watch one,
think
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if I get
yeah,
back
you
into
should
it, I would just
maybe.
do 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 because I don't know. I would just like that better. I would just like that better. I always love seeing something the year that it came out because I feel like that's how they intended it to be at the time, and they didn't have the hindsight that they do, like looking back on it.
Yeah, I think George did a good job with keeping 4, 5, and 6 in mind when he made 1, 2, and 3. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason why, I like your idea of viewing it in that order, and also why I kind of wish I'm glad, I view it in that order, is because going from 1, 2, and 3 and then watching 4, 5, and 6 is it's kind of jarring because everything like it's the time difference, and it's 1977 when A New Hope or Star Wars came out,
Oh, that is true. Yeah, you would
compared
be
to
going
like,
back in time.
yeah, it's very jarring. It's like, whoa, you know what I mean, compared to like the 99 2000 when episode 1 came out. So it's like, and then episode 2 and then episode 3 which came out in 2005. So
Yeah.
it's very jarring to make that jump. So that's why it's kind of recommended to do it in release date order, but well, at least the first time through. Yeah, your first time through, you should probably do it like that. But I think they did a good job with, considering the source material. Disney did not do a good job when they did their movies, but when George did it all, now is the quality of episode 1 and 2 up there with the original ones? No.
Okay, wait. So
But
I'm
I
gonna so I'm
mean,
gonna ask this because, like, again, I don't really know diddly squat about Star Wars like that. What what was the movie for Star Wars that came out that was like, wait, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess this would be episode 7, or did they restart the number?
so you're talking about the first one Disney did,
Yes.
The Force Awakens? Yeah, that's episode 7.
Okay, so episode 7 onward is like the Disney era of Star Wars movies.
Yeah,
And
that's
I don't know
that's
how long this is gonna take to answer, but here we go. What about it is bad? Objectively bad.
like that whole trilogy or that movie in particular? Because that movie in particular is probably like safe
So because the
bad.
movie was safe, it was bad?
It wasn't bad because it was safe. It was just
It was safe
safe.
because it
And
was bad.
nah, I wasn't safe because it was bad. It wasn't bad because it was safe. So The Force Awakens came out in 2015. That was the movie where I mean, it's gonna kind of get a pass because, like I said, well, Episode 3 came out in 2005. So we hadn't had a Star Wars on the big screen for 10 years, and we
Okay,
thought it
so
was done
it had its good graces coming in. I think you said 2015, right?
2015. Yeah.
Hey, that's when Jurassic World came out. We were eating
So
good in
it was
2015. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it was always gonna kind of get a pass. And then so it kind of baited nostalgia before nostalgia bait is like popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was bringing back Han Solo, it was bringing back Chewbacca, it was bringing back Princess Leia, and then doing its own thing. Now, the reason why it gets bad is because when you go about telling a story, and you can attest to this as you filmmaking or story writing or whatever. When you go about telling a story,
Mm-hmm.
your characters go through strife, your characters go through, an arc, your characters go through something that, can make the audience relate to them. Now, if I told you, you play Battlefront, so I know if I told you Luke Skywalker picked up a lightsaber the first time and went and fought Darth Vader, who is a beast, and his first battle ever, he beat Darth Vader, you would look at me like, huh? You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the good person, which is a new character they made named Rey,
Mm-hmm.
beats the supposed Sith Lord or almost Sith Lord Kylo Ren in the first battle. She's kind of hard to connect with and stuff like that. And I mean, so production hell kind of kicked in with episode 7 and then that whole trilogy in the back end anyway, because there was talks that they wanted to make Finn the stormtrooper turned good guy.
Dude, my mind
um
jumped right to Adventure Time when you said that. I was like, what? And I'm really not getting into Star Wars.
well, I didn't want to just be like, yeah, the black guy, but the
Oh
black
my
guy,
gosh.
the
Oh, I know who you're talking about. That
yeah,
stormtrooper
Finn.
that
Yeah,
did he
yeah.
like gain sentience or something?
No, so in the original trilogy 4, 5, 6, they took out the Man, I'm this gonna turn into a Star Wars episode.
Listen, we 41 minutes in. Do you think?
Um, in the original trilogy, which is episodes 4, 5, and 6, they replaced the clone troopers with humans. So they just started recruiting humans to be their stormtroopers. So stormtroopers were human.
Hmm.
So he didn't like break mind control or whatever. He just, they train you. So imagine like military training where they break you down and build you up to make you do what they want you to do.
Hmm.
And I guess, his conscience was just like he didn't want to do that anymore. So he broke out and then he went rogue from, being a stormtrooper. And
I feel like that would
yeah,
have been more
he went to
compelling if he was a clone.
well, his whole arc was supposed to be that allegedly. His
Unless he
whole
thought
arc
he
was
was a
supposed to
clone.
be
I don't know.
well, he was supposed to be force sensitive. He was supposed to have he was supposed to essentially be either like with Ray or the Ray of the story. But from what I hear, allegedly, there's a
Hmm.
lot of rumors and speculation on it. Is that I guess they ran into some problems in certain markets. I'm not gonna name them. That didn't want
We love you,
you
China, but
know
you're kind of messed up. Just a little bit. Yes, I will say
You
it.
said you stutter, not me. I don't want
Yeah.
none of that. But and certain markets they have problems with somebody being that prominent in the story and that prominent in the promotion and stuff like that. So his role kind of got diminished and diminished and diminished over the movies, and that character got chewed to heck and back, and poor Finn. And poor John Boyega, because I mean, I think that he is a pretty good actor, and I don't think that he deserved to go through all of that nonsense. But yeah, so they had their own problems, and instead we got Ray and we got her and Kylo, and they didn't build a story and they didn't build the character like the way the first two trilogies did with Luke and with Anakin. Because I mean, Luke went through strife in the first movie, he barely was thing. He got the shot on the Death Star and blew it up. But I mean, it's a big arc. He had to go through a lot of loss. You see him grow, you see him develop, and then in the second movie, he gets his behind kicked when he finds out that Darth Vader is his father.
Hmm.
And then he lost. He lost in that one, and he had to escape. And then in the third one, he comes back and he refuses to even fight his father. So
Well, I
that's
can imagine that being
whole.
big back in the day because usually most stories that would be following throughout those years would be, good guy fights bad guy always loses, so it was probably very like, whoa, oh my gosh, like good guy loses to bad guy, and like movies have a way of being like this indirect, not officially written yet definitive statement on something, especially with fiction, and to see like the good guy lose in a movie, there's just something that feels very permanent about that. But in that same breath, it's like 1 through 6 probably didn't have like executive meddling like it does in the late 2010s, or I guess 2015 onwards, for the other half of the Star Wars movies that hurt the story in clearly a way that makes Star Wars fans just detest everything that comes out of Disney. But I feel like it weaves in and out between
Polarized.
like, yeah, it weaves in and out between like international issues, production issues, what the studio wants, what Disney wants, and then just trying to get a script made to see if this can be, shot and edited and then put out there for people. And I feel like maybe 1 through 6 didn't have to worry about all those struggles just because it was a different time for movie making. It was a different time for like international marketing. And I don't know, because I feel like if I ever did watch the later ones, I probably would see a lot of the good in it and be excited for like, I know like what's Mark Hamill's character? Is it Luke?
Luke. Yep.
Luke. I know he comes back in one of them. Like that's kind of exciting, but I don't know. I just feel like both of these sets of movies just come from two different eras of just filmmaking altogether, and it just really hurt the what should have been a New Hope, and get them going with this new thing. Yeah, so it is unfortunate, but okay. So we say all that to say, guys, I know we kind of went on a rant there. Would Star Wars be nominated in today's time?
No.
Oh no. So what movie do you want to get nominated for Best Picture of the Year?
Like I said, I think going pulling us back to the topic. I think Across the Spider Verse should Should have been in there. I mean, I love to say like Godzilla. I mean, I always knew it was gonna come down to Oppenheimer and Barbie because like you said, they're the ones coming with the most promotion with the biggest nod. You did pull up a good point when you brought up the movie The Sound of Freedom. I watched that on a friend's recommendation, and I think you recommended too.
And you didn't tell me?
Um, I
So
I
I know
did.
where you live.
I didn't tell. Oh, I guess maybe I didn't. But
You didn't tell me.
that's a good. That's another good movie that I feel like should. I don't know why everybody was mad about it. I mean, I get why what you call it, child trafficking is not. It's not pretty,
Yeah, it's definitely not
but
like something you put on in the background to be like, oh, hey, you want Netflix and chill. It's just a very suggestively heavy themed movie, which I get, but
I mean,
there's worse out there.
what's funny about that
Hmm.
is Spotlight won Best Picture of the year, and that's not what they was talking about in that movie. That movie's not pretty either.
Yeah, you're right. What is the criteria, Hollywood? You must tell us this. Hollywood's like, we ain't telling you fish, but no, Sound of Freedom. And part of me couldn't help but think like there was just like Christian movies that I used to watch growing up, like Fireproof and Bible Man at one point. Never got into Veggie Tales, but like Christian movies just have like this certain demeanor about them where like no matter what is going on in the character's life, the compass will always be directed back to God, which I get. Um, but this movie, Sound of Freedom, like had some of those tropes, but it was like faith without work is dead. Um, and it came to points in the movies where like the characters had to do something and they couldn't like necessarily rely on God, if that's a particular way to put it. But yeah, Sound of Freedom was like tough Christian, so it was good. And I know there was like other like political parties on both ends for like child trafficking and supposedly slime balls in Hollywood that want to traffic children and stuff like that. So both of them were going back and forth, but I never looked into it deep enough on the political side. But I could believe it if that was one reason why they were trying to silence the movie.
Oh, so do you think that because you think Spotlight got a pass because it goes after religion, whereas Sound of Freedom could be seen as, hitting close to home to some politicians and the like,
I
and
would
that's
think
why
so.
they.
I would think so. Yeah, a lot of production has been coming out as of late, where like well, I wouldn't say like as of late, but it's definitely getting more exposure where it's like they're trying to humanize just historically biblically historical villains. Like, do we really have to sympathize with Lucifer? Like, come on. There are people who talk about like, oh my gosh, Lucifer, he's just so misunderstood. And it's like he's the incarnation of chaos and evil. Like like you don't get any more sinister than that. I was watching Has Been Hotel the other day while do you know about Has Been Hotel real quick?
Is that an anime?
It's an animation where it's very much like like everything takes place in hell, and jokes can range from 666 to just some of the most depraved things, right? I mean it is tamed for an animation, but it pushes a
Hmm.
lot of those boundaries for like 18 plus content, and I can tolerate it, right? And like my Christian radar is not like, oh my gosh, I can't. It's very interesting that like shows as of late do try to like humanize and make you sympathize with just these canonically evil, malevolent forces in our world that we understand as evil.
Yeah,
And
they've been doing that.
I
Like,
just I
look at
just it's
High School
interesting.
DxD.
Well, yeah, you are right. Anime with religion is already its own can of worms. But like as far as like Western things go, I've been seeing it like more and more recently, and I am interested by it, so I have been watching it and just kind of like taking mental notes here and there. But yeah, there's something where it's like bashing religion is like the cool thing to do right now. And then if you like try to like be like, hey, you can't do that, someone will just be like, well, freedom of speech. And you're like, yeah, you're not wrong. You do have freedom of speech. It doesn't make you free of consequences now, but all right, you can have that. So as a Christian myself, but just a person who, likes to have logic and evidence and reason and just, wanting to hear the other side out, it's like why do you feel that way, or why do you think this should be bashed over the other thing? Cause kind of a segue, kind of not. Like the whole Little Mermaid thing, I just didn't get. Like I just did not understand it. I was like, Disney is copying and pasting their animated movie, but into like live action. It's fine.
Well, yeah,
Obviously,
they. Oh, you mean you don't get why everybody was upset about it?
yeah, outside of like, the low hanging fruit of like, swapping races, which I get it. It is annoying when you
Yeah.
have
Hmm.
just already established characters being color swapped as opposed to just taking the time to making a new character. But like these are German fairy tales. So Disney already pulled it from its culture long before, we even hit the Renaissance. So it's like I thought it was fine. I thought the movie was okay. Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, but like I have listened to it on the treadmill every now and then. Like it's fine. But I think everyone just focusing on like that racial aspect of it and just not even the movie. I'm like, guys, like sometimes you just gotta just breathe
Well,
and watch it and have
I
fun.
think, I think that yeah, obviously, like you said, the racial thing was the low hanging fruit, which I think I can understand as well. Like I think they was gonna try to do the same thing with Batgirl, and I mean, I don't know why, but um, there's that. But also, did so I you watched it? I didn't watch it, so
Mm.
I don't know for sure. But
I
did
watched it with
they
my mom and my sister and my niece.
is that the only thing that they changed? Because I thought I heard some stuff about they was gonna try to make like they was gonna change some of the story, whereas like Ursula is not
The
gonna
story is like
completely the bad person.
the story is literally the same. There was one inkling of like her and I almost said Professor Trident. What? Her Ariel's dad. I think they're brother and sister in this. So that would
Hmm.
make Ursula Ariel's aunt. Which was a cool dynamic, but the movie doesn't do anything with it because it's mostly sticking to its its previous iteration. And it played it super safe. All the songs were more or less the same, except you're looking at it in like literally 8K. And it was fine. Like Homegirl can sing. I wish there were certain notes that she hit. So Haley Berry, if you're ever watching this dusty stream at like 2 p.m., you gotta ask me why you didn't go all the way like you should have, because I think you had it in you. But yeah, it was fine. It was fine. There was one part where the prince, they did give a lot more things for the prince to do, so he had like his own song, which kind of reminded me of Bet on It from High School Musical. And my mom and my sister are just like laughing, and I'm like, hey, like we men have feelings too. So it kind of makes me think
Right.
that like when men express themselves, girls laugh at them, but when men don't express their feelings, they're just like, ugh, why are you always so stoic and quiet? It's like, we darn if we do, we darn if we don't. You know what I'm saying? So it was just interesting to see it from like the lady's perspective, because I know like everyone preaches about mental health, but like as long as that person's not particularly dealing with the person in question's mental health, they could care less. It's like
Hmm.
I can fix her. It's like, no, you want to help her, but if not, you can both just be broken together. So I don't know where I was going with that, other than just like The Little Mermaid was just a passable, fine movie. Yeah, the whole racial angle of it was just, I thought, was silly. It's trite at this point, because like if that's the case, then Ariel should have been translucent. She's a mermaid, she's pretty much see-through. But it's like, no, let's just Caucasian character. Like that's just what you know her as, because that's how you first was introduced to her. But she's an adaptation of already pre-existing work from, I think, mid 1800s. Someone in the comments, feel free to correct. I know you guys love correcting, so there's your homework. So yeah, like these things were already like made and pre-established. It's like when our parents talk to us about like, I don't know, Michael Jackson or James Brown, and we're just kind of like, yeah, okay, sure. Like their music is weird. We like this newer stuff, but like it's just
Nah,
this.
cause I like Michael Jackson and James Brown music,
Well,
so
yeah,
I
but there
mean,
but there are some people who like hear that and they're just kind of like, that's old hat. It's like perfect example, like with anime, right? Jujutsu Kaisen,
hmm
My Hero, right? That to us is just kind of like, okay, it's another anime. But to somebody else, that's their start. That's their Inuyasha. That's their Naruto. That's their Yu Yu Hakusho. So
yeah,
for us to like inadvertently like joke slash bash on them and maybe even gatekeep to a little bit, even though I do think gatekeeping is, depending on how far you go with it, healthy in certain aspects because you don't want.
We gonna
Listen,
get
that's okay. I'm about to wrap this up in 4 minutes.
I'm saying, no, I'm saying when we get to the video game topic
Hmm.
episode, we're gonna get to
Yeah, like
gatekeeping. But go
gatekeeping
ahead.
has its purposes, and it can be a healthy tool of moderation because you do not want posers getting into the space and just unfurling it from within. Because I think that's kind of what happened to Star Wars when it comes to like just things that are still existing throughout different generations. It's just important to like be like nice about it, be open about it, be understanding about it, but like just know that that's somebody's first. I was leaving the gym the other day and they're playing Spider-Man 2 on the FX channel like it's Turner Classic Movies, and I'm like, man, like there's just something about you,
No,
like you realize that like you're not in the center of like the target
I was
demographic anymore. Like you're kind of
it's like
like,
we grew up.
yeah,
We
you're
grew
not
up
you're
on
not in the
that.
median anymore. Like just by life you are now forced into like this next role. So I feel like with
Yeah.
certain people they're just kind of like, oh, you like that thing, that's weird. It's like, I get it, but it's like that's someone's first. That's gonna get them
Yeah.
into like their thing, and it's gonna open up more. So to go back to the Little Mermaid, I think people were just being like, I want to talk about this one particular thing, and like because they're fine with Miles. He's not only is he just a well
Being
written
inspired,
character.
being inspired. Well, because he is like he is a Spider-Man, but in a world where we're coming up with like Miles Morales being there doesn't erase Peter Parker. So I
Right.
think that if they did a Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey and she wasn't Ariel, say she was like Ariel's sister or Ariel's daughter or something like that, I don't
Hmm.
think we would have had as much outrage. But I think that because, I think they wanted a one for one copy, story, aesthetic, and everything. Which I mean, you can't even really please them with that because I know there was some people that was mad at when they made the Lion King,
Hmm.
live action as the that can be. Um,
Which was just like Nat Geo, but
yeah,
they didn't need
and
to
a lot
make
of
that movie.
CGI and whatever, and Jungle Book, which I like the Jungle Book, the
Jungle Book
live action.
was was a testing ground. Enchanted was a testing ground, and then Jungle Book. But yes, I do agree with you.
Yeah, I got a kick out of Jungle Book, but
Yeah.
Lion. Some people was upset over Lion King, and even though they're one for ones. So
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can't completely please. Well, I mean, we already know you can't completely please everybody, but
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
I
someone will
think that they
always
got
find
mad with.
something when they don't want to say that they're wrong. We
Yeah,
know
when
this.
they got when they got mad with that over them changing more, and then I think Mulan. Did you see Mulan?
No, but I heard the horror stories. I
Yeah,
heard
they
the horror
they
stories.
they went and changed like the story, some of the story with Mulan,
Yeah,
and
she was
and
like
took a
already
lot of.
born with like mystic chi or something like that. Like
Yeah,
she
so
was
they
already
they
like
they
from the
took to
rip
heart.
just already there,
Yeah,
which I
they
thought,
took to heart.
obviously that defeats the purpose of her working up to like that soldier's role and
Bingo.
standing in
Yep.
for her father because he never had a son. And I think they also changed like certain aspects of it just because again it's a Chinese film. It's already going to be predominantly marketed to China, and that whole angle of like I forget the commander's name in the animated movie, but him like catching feelings for Mulan, who even though we know she's a girl, he thought was a boy. So like there's also like this I almost said heterosexual and that would have made absolutely no sense. There's this homosexual angle to it that can also be interpreted when watching like the animated Mulan movie. But again, it was a different time, right? Those conversations
Yeah.
weren't as openly spoken. And even though they are now in today's time, there obviously comes a huge hammer with the word woke written on it that people just automatically dismiss anything that is even perceived as it and it just saps it of all of its power. But I think what really did it for me with that Mulan movie was that they shot it near actual concentration camps and then went out of their way to even thank the CCP for using their space of concentration camps to film this movie, which is a movie about liberating China. So it just felt like a contradiction in their story and in real world. And I'm like, what a weird way for like the fourth wall to be broken like twice. Um, so yeah, that movie just wasn't well received. Plus, it was also during that time when everything was gonna be streaming. I think Trolls was the first movie like ever to be streamed, and then everything else after that was just kind of like, well, we might put it in theaters, we might not. Um, but this was when Disney was like really trying to buckle down on their streaming thing. So they were like, nope, Mulan's only going to be on streaming, and if you want to watch it, you got to be subscribed to Disney Plus because we got the best shows ever. Why is Black Widow failing?
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Yeah, but no, I think that people was getting upset over that and worrying about because I mean also Snow White did what they're doing with Snow White and the crap show that's turning
Oh yeah,
into
that
with
that
the
that poor girl. I forget her name. I think it starts or ends with a Z. She's the one that's like weird. Man,
I want
I
to say
feel
like was
so
it like
bad for her.
Rachel Zegler or whatever, right?
Yeah. Honestly, like, what even is Snow White about? Like the actual like first Snow White movie. It was just so
I
simple.
don't
Like
know,
it was just a
but
simple movie. Like girl marry guy, the end. You know?
I mean, I feel like if they wanna, I don't know if Disney told her to go out there and say the things that she said
Hmm.
and whatever. Because if they did, then they really left her out there to dry. Because she now they're backpedaling and she's just kind of out there and she's just kind of having to eat it. But if she did it, then I kind of felt like her and like the girl who did Faye Valentine and the Cowboy Bebop
Hmm.
on Netflix. Like, where they just, if you're gonna do something and the fans are already kind of like rocky on it, why don't you just like weather the storm and let them watch the show? I don't feel like, you antagonizing people who are already like
Yeah, because like if
not feeling it is gonna do you any
yeah, like
favors.
they're just gonna be more like shut off, you know? It's like me telling you like, oh, you gotta watch Boruto after I just went through like an hour of like roasting you of like your
Yeah.
like preferred anime choices. Like you don't get people into things by berating them. That's like with anything, you know? And I think that's another thing that I was talking to about the whole, anime for like the new generation, our generation, and the past, you know? It's like who's gonna want to watch One Piece if you're constantly using it as a way to like bash somebody else's like favorite choice that spoke to them much differently than like One Piece or Full Metal or Yu Yu Hakusho, you know? It's just like I feel like people just don't catch themselves when those emotions start to flare up and they just ride it all the way till the conversation's done and they don't realize till like after. It's like post clarity, but now you just have someone who's never going to watch your show. And if they do watch it, they're just watching it like out of spite and they're not really open to it to like engage with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that said, I hope Spider-Man gets best picture of the year because I think it would be winning for the right reasons. Kind of like with Baldur's Gate 3, Not my kind of game, but it won for
Well,
very good reasons. Um
I think that is gonna be the topic of the next episode.
uh-oh, you guys heard it here. So make sure you subscribe, and unsubscribe if you don't want to, okay? We don't care, right?
I think that's gonna be the next one because I definitely wanted to segue. We don't have time for it today, but I wanted to segue into that. But yep, nope. I think yeah, for the next one we'll be talking about that whole situation because how that goes. We seen it, but we'll talk about that one. So you got Across the Spider Verse for animated feature. I do too. And then for best picture, you're going with Barbie. You think Barbie?
um, Personally, I'd want to give it all to Spider-Man, but
Me
I
too.
feel like I feel like Barbie wouldn't be like best picture. I feel like it wouldn't be best picture because like it's just a
I
movie
feel
that has so many things to say. It's a very nuanced conversation with Barbie, and I feel like when it comes to like just water cooler talk, talking about Barbie is a lot harder than talking about like Spider-Man. You know,
so. It's gotta be Oppenheimer then.
Probably it could be Oppenheimer because like who doesn't know about 1945, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's definitely a lot easier for Americans to talk about versus like Japan, which I feel for them because like
Yeah.
usually like when I watched Shin Godzilla, and they came to that part in the movie where like they were like we might have to have America help us out, but America helping us out means they're gonna drop the bomb on us again. And there was just something about it where I was just like, fish, like I'm getting a little misty. I'm thinking about it. I was like, that's like really messed up because like that like actually happened to them, people who got
Was that this Godzilla, the one
no,
that just came out?
that was the previous one, Shin Godzilla,
Oh,
which
okay.
is
Okay.
Toho's version of this property, and then I know Legendary's the American version, and then this one was Toho again, essentially. So yeah, like Shin Godzilla takes care of like all the bureaucracy that happens in Japan, but obviously is using Godzilla as like that medium of whatever the subject matter is in that particular point in time. I think during that time it was some nuclear power plants and a few tsunamis that were happening around that time that ended up unfortunately killing a lot of people, and the way the government responded to it was very slow. Yeah, a lot of people lost their lives because it just felt like their government was just dragging their feet. And Shin Godzilla pretty much tells that story again, but obviously with the big G man who is just dying and wants to die. But it was a really good movie from Godzilla's standpoint, from the Japanese people perspective. Such a solid movie, such a solid movie all around. Also like Persona, because Persona is also a very big commentary on just Japanese society, and to do that in a video game where you could lose somebody 5 hours in, it was like, good job, Atlas. Now please make Persona 6 and stop triple dipping, gosh darn. But yeah, so I hope Godzilla comes away with something. If they give it to Oppenheimer, I think that's fine. Oppenheimer was also a very solid film. For I think it was like a little over 3 hours. Real quick, what was Avengers Endgame's runtime?
Runtime?
Yeah.
Let me get that for you right. Endgame. The runtime was. Let's see here. 181 minutes.
Yeah, like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I think people don't have a problem watching something long if they're interested and engaged with it. Even though Bible states that Alfred Hitchcock says a movie should be as long as the human bladder, 2 hours. But like, if the movie is interesting, people are gonna stay and watch it. Like, they will be
Absolutely.
excited and palpable, and they will close off their bladder to see how this
Yeah.
story ends. You know,
Or
so
just see it a couple of times or whatever. Yeah, this movie, I think the Batman is pretty long.
yeah, like Batman, Killers of the Flower Moon. I know The Prestige comes to mind because Christian Bale was in that, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, like movies that are like very long and like you do need to be paying attention. It's like you just gotta come ready, because if you're just not feeling it for that movie, you're gonna slip in between out of things and just be like, I didn't really
Yeah.
like it. And again, you know how recency bias just gets up in people. Yeah, for movies like that, it's just kind of like you do have to come prepared as a viewer. That's why I always say turn your
I
brain
agree.
down, not off, because it's another story that wants to be told from the director's vision about something that they think is important, and this is their way of illustrating that to you. So yeah, if it goes to Oppenheimer, then golf clap all around. If it goes to Barbie, I did like Barbie. I don't like that Barbie is like this litmus test of like what side are you on. I don't know what your political affiliation is. I'm not gonna hate you if you're Republican or Democrat. It doesn't matter. But I think I'm more independent because
Me too.
yeah,
That's what I was
there's
gonna say. Mine's is like I mean I would say how you say it. I would say independent but left leaning, I
okay,
guess.
yeah, because I feel like a lot of black people are more or less democratic, but a lot of them mentally align with being independent because there's more to life than just two choices. So yeah, I was went like all the way back to the history of like Democrats and Republicans, and it's like Democrats actually had it out for black people back in the day, but it's like whatever. Um, so yeah, I think Barbie is another solid movie. Definitely more like hee hee ha ho funny. Can't believe they said that, or that's what they're implying. But you are Ken enough that is a fact all day long. So
Yep.
yeah, I hope it goes to
Godzilla
those.
Godzilla minus one is up for visual effects award in the Oscars, but
Mm,
that's it.
I don't know if I would give it for visual effects. Like it's a very beautiful movie, but it's like that story just hard carries. Like, don't get me wrong,
It's up
Godzilla
there.
looks great. The
It's up
atomic
against
scene, great.
the Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Napoleon.
So all I heard was bland, bland, and Guardians. and I haven't even seen Guardians. I just know
Oh,
that it has
you
it.
never watched
But from
any of
what
the
I've seen,
Guardians.
it has a very
Ah,
poppy nature to it. Like it's very like if I had to pick a color palette for Guardians of the Galaxy, I would pick red, magenta, and like a high tinge yellow. Like it definitely is vibrant when I think of like Guardians of the Galaxy. When I think of Napoleon, I'm like, just go watch Waterloo from like 1978. That's all you need to know. And it's so weird because like nothing against Joaquin Phoenix, I do like him as an actor from especially the movie called Her. Um,
thank you. As
yes, I
long as
do
you didn't
like the
say
Joker.
as long as no, no. You was doing so well until you brought
I'm
that up.
sorry. I
I
like the
knew it.
Joker movie. I like the
I
Joker
knew
movie.
it was
I
coming.
still like other iterations of the clown Prince of Crimes stories, but I did like this aspect of Joker
Oh,
because maybe one day that Joker will meet Patterson's Batman and something unique can come from that. But Joaquin Phoenix being Napoleon, it just makes me think like there's got to be more people in Hollywood that are portraying these supposedly world famous historical figures. Like can't be a coincidence, right? Like am I am I wrong in saying that? Like
I don't know, man. But you brought up the Joker.
I said I like Joker. He is like, you know what, man, forget this podcast. I'm done. You dead to me. Hey, listen, I'm right up there with Dead Reckoning. Oh man. Political affiliations, forget those. You tell me you like Joker, that is it.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
so sorry.
it's on. It's on. Nah, but nah. I mean,
How about a
yeah,
joke,
I had a
Murray?
homie that wanted. I had a homie that wanted to see Napoleon, and then he didn't want to see Napoleon because it looked like, you could probably watch that at home.
It's just
But
one of
for
those movies that's
visual
just like there.
effects, yeah, no, I think visual effects is probably. I don't know. The creator. That's the movie with Denzel Washington's son, I believe.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
I believe.
But then it's movies like that because I do remember seeing like ads for the creator and just going like, you know, it again, it's a movie that exists. Don't mean that in a bad way, but like it's like if it doesn't hook somebody in story wise, then the next thing you follow on is like star power, you know. So
My
so
friend
for
hates
someone to
it when
say
I say
the
that.
huh?
So my friend hates it when I say that. He'll be like, "How was the movie?" Whatever. I was like, "Oh, it's a movie," and he just
Yeah,
hates
like it exists. It's like one of my friends. They're like, "Oh my gosh, the Eternals was so great." I'm like I know you're like more of a cup half full kind of guy, but like the Eternals was like not their best outing, you know. It is just a movie, you know. They have to put it out there because you know by contract, by obligation, it just has to be made. It's like with Clifford, like who asked for this? You know, it's they're just there. It's like breathing. You don't think about it, you just do it. I usually just say it exists because you know there are some people who just take movies and just make them go way beyond like their intended purpose. Like some of these end up becoming like you know like time capsules and just a snippet of like humanity. If aliens do like come to our Earth, check out cat videos first. They're the best versions of us. Even though I'm a dog person, but cat videos are like internet at its purest. But yeah, no, that was another movie that did come out and just went completely under the radar for me. And I think for a lot of people, it's like you know, if the movie's not interesting or doesn't have a well known name attached to it, it's got less chances to really make a big splash, you know. So
hmm
and yeah, even just saying like I think it was Denzel's son, it's just like oh now that's kind of on my radar because like I know my dad likes Denzel, I know my mom likes Denzel. Now I'm like kind of like finding like mental pathways to like see this movie. So that's just the power of someone's name alone versus like whatever the director's vision was for the movie. Um, so yeah, I think when it comes to Barbie, it had that language of like I forget which wave of feminism it was, but it had feminism, right? And that's such a strong word when you hear it nowadays that it just gets people talking, you know. Um Funny enough, there was a girl I was talking to, but we ended up seeing Oppenheimer instead. Well, I wanted to see Oppie first, then Barbie. And she was like, "Well, I'll watch that with you first." So we go and see Oppie, and this is like me meeting her for the first time, and she's just kind of like, "Yeah, I think it was okay. This, that, and the other, right? Nothing too lowbrow, and nothing too, you know, up there to like really go back and forth with." But when it came to Barbie, now we didn't see Barbie together, but we ended up seeing Barbie I think Barbie was I saw Barbie first with you, and then I went with my little brother again, and I think I saw it one more time. In passing, I was like, oh, I had a friend that didn't like it, and like, money, when I tell you this wall of text was huge, like it was
Oh
huge.
boy.
Yeah, like, and
I
again,
mean, how many times did I get called a misogynist?
well, thankfully she didn't call you a misogynist because like she has a good head on her shoulders, but like it's like there's this particular way of thinking that I think a lot of people fall into a trap with, where it's like if you don't agree with one thing, then you're just completely for the other. There's no in between, and there's no bobbing in and out of both of these points that you stand in the middle of. And like she was hitting a good handful of like, well, did he try watching it like this or did he try doing it like that? And it's like you can only really watch a movie one way the first time you're watching it. Unless you just like a cinema snob and you can just be like, okay, I'm watching it for just the sound, I'm watching it for just the picture, I'm watching it for just the uh visual effects design. It's when you go to watch a movie, you're just watching it as it comes to you, you're just letting it wash over you. And I'm like, how he decided to watch it is going to be different from how you watched it. You should be able to respect that, and that he came out of it with something different. you know Plus, he looked at
Well,
me
to
like he was gonna kill
explain
me. So,
to explain real quick, because I know we done extended.
mhm.
To explain real quick, then to her if she listening or anybody else who think the reason why I wasn't feeling it is because kind of like, though not to the extent of the Flash, I feel like it
Oh my
had
gosh.
the chance. It had the chance to say something, and then it didn't say it. I felt like, Barbie had the perfect opportunity to say, listen, we can empower, the little girls, which is what they wanted to do. We can
Mhm.
empower, girls and women and all of that. But what we have to realize is that, you know, men need women, women need men. We all need each other. I
Yeah.
feel like that they approached saying that, and then when they got to the line, it was like, actually, you know what? Nah, never mind.
Yeah, I
And
do
I
I
was
do
just
feel
like,
like they did that in service of the joke, which I think some of the jokes did like land for like those, like, that here comes this preachy moment, right? But then they just undercut it with a joke. And sometimes that can work and sometimes it doesn't. I think for me, like, what, because I was enjoying it, but it got to the end and it was just like, I'm here to see my guy in college. And I'm like, gosh darn it, like, funny ending, but like, come on, that's like your girlfriend going through 10 years of like school, right? To really do the thing she wants to do, only to come out of it and go, you know what, honey? I want to be an OnlyFans model. It's like, what? You did all that just to be this? Like, so I feel like Barbie had those moments where it got up to the stage on its platform and was just kind of like, bork. And it's like, you were almost there. But I thought it
yeah,
had a lot more hits than misses.
that was my thing. Where I just felt like, yeah, it came right there to say, to give that good message and say that, and then they were just like, yeah. So like right at the end or whatever, just like with the Flash, when the Flash was just like, oh, like we sat through this torture, and it's like, well, can we at least say that the character learned something in the end? No, because he went back there
He
and
only
you know
had
he
one moment that I was like,
yeah.
I'm digging this. And that was when they were in the Batcave and the other Flash was being, goofy with the monkey or whatever. And our Barry pretty much just like snaps on him and just like, you don't know how good you got it. And I'm like, there was something about that performance where I was like, this is raw. We don't count the ending part of the movie because that could be a whole separate movie in of itself. That part was beautiful. But that one scene in the Batcave, I was just kind of like, yeah. But if it's one thing I'd want to know about the Flash that I think was never answered is what is brunch? Like, that question is always stuck with me. I'm like, dang, like, what is brunch? Like, I've never had brunch like that. Especially when
I
you
just I
sleep
just
whenever you
started
want, right?
Yeah, I just started having brunch not too long ago. So I mean, honestly, to me, what I would call it is I would call it a late breakfast or the option of having breakfast and lunch. I mean, I guess you could call it an early lunch. So
So
they
it's
just
not an
jam it
appetizer, is what you're
together.
saying.
It's not an appetizer, no.
Okay.
So they just jam breakfast and lunch together and make brunch. I mean, why we have to have a separate word for that?
Does a toaster
America.
strudel count as brunch?
I guess America. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, don't break my brain at this. Well, maybe break it. I don't know. Maybe I need to shut up and stop talking so
Oh,
we
you want to
can
break your brain? Okay, so
talk.
there was a scene in the Joker movie, right? Where money, you there? Hello, you there?
Oh man, we don't gotta talk about it.
Hey, maybe one day we will. Call them like after dark hours or something like that. Anything else you'd like to add real quick?
Nope. So in conclusion, we got Oppenheimer for Best Picture.
Okay.
We're cheering for Spider Verse to take animated feature, and then also Godzilla to take visual effects. I'm gonna go check out. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna make my mother watch Shin Godzilla today
Man, you
because
forgot
when
about
you
Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol,
Yeah, Paw Patrol came out.
it's not nominated.
Real is Saw on there?
Um, yeah, I don't see Paw Patrol anywhere.
That's crazy. We need more Paw
Animated
Patrol
feature,
representation.
animated short. No, no.
Man, I guess if it's animated, then like, especially when it's like
Animated
animated for
feature goes
kids.
to The Boy and the Heron,
Hmm.
the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Robot Dreams.
Competition is stiff. We love you, Spider Man. You got this. You got this. Guys, what do you think should be nominated for Thing of the Year? They'd be like, I think it should be this movie. I'd be like, I'm gonna be real with you. I never heard that movie. But good luck. I'm gonna say what everybody on Twitch says. That's fair. But no, it'll be fun. And again, even if your movie doesn't get picked, like you can still enjoy these things. Don't let the this invisible influence of like society sway the way you feel about something, you know? Did it hurt that Baldur's Gate 3 took it and not Spider-Man 2 because I genuinely enjoyed it? Yes. But like Spider-Man 2 was still a solid, fun game for about
And y'all gotta
30
y'all,
hours.
y'all gotta tune in. Y'all gotta tune into the next one to hear all about this one.
Yeah.
We gonna talk all about
Unless your
that.
name is Synthetic Man, you're just kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. You do have some good points from time to time, but like, there's just something about your cadence and how you carry the conversation is just kind of like, I don't know. I know there's like this whole what's it called, like grift culture or something like that, where like the market is to be overtly negative about something. So maybe that's what Synthetic Man is doing. So
Yeah, but his is mirrored in all that anger. Like I'm just listening to it. I'm like, even if you have some points, it's just like you're so angry. Like,
yeah, but there is a market
come
for it,
on.
and maybe Synthetic is just pushing that to its extreme. So yeah, Synthetic, we don't quote unquote hate you. It's just that the way the message was delivered, it was just kind of like, wow, this like who hurt you, kind of. So I hope there's a game out there that you do enjoy, and that's for anybody. Your feelings are real. All right.
Yeah, remember that, people. Like video games are supposed to be fun. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
take
So
a load
if you
off.
have if you're playing a game and it's like legitimately tilting you or making you feel like some real world anger, like if you're not running up against a boss that's tough or some type of janky mechanic, but like if you're like really like angry when you're playing the game, stop playing the game, take a deep breath, and go play something else. Go play something that's fun. You know,
Yeah,
you're supposed to have
or
fun.
or maybe like, and this might crush a lot of people's hearts. Maybe gaming isn't like that coping mechanism for you. Like, there's other avenues to just taking the edge off. I don't play video games 24/7, so I use that time to watch movies or take a drive, wash my car, ride a bike, go to the gym, see my family. Like, there's many ways to feed a cat. You know what I'm saying? Unless they only eat Fancy Feast, then just stick to Fancy Feast. It's legit. Um, so yeah, like don't take it too seriously. It's honestly it's just a game. That's the whole irony of it. It's just a game.
That's
So
it.
Synthetic and all the people out there, as gamers to other gamers and people who just enjoy things because that is human nature. Just chill out. Just have fun with it. You got through your day. You're home. You got a hot meal. It's like, you know 75 degrees in your room. You're all warm and snuggly, and you've hit your responsibilities, and life is good. Just absorb those feelings. Blessed. I'm not ranting.
Ranted away. So.
Alrighty. Cool. Well, this was fun. Maybe 27 minutes over, but that was fine.
Absolutely.
That was fine. Cool. Well, guys, listen. You've heard our nominations. You heard what we want, what we don't want. I kind of want Joker, but Money, you there? Yeah. Money?
Yeah.
You're okay. I'm just waiting for the call to just. Where are you? But yeah, that's our takes. This is our first one, so again, go easy on us. We're little lamb babies, okay? We're trying new things. This was
Just trying out.
Yeah, this was more or less inspired by Money. So this is his show. If anything happens, you go after him. All right. I'll foot the bill though when it's time to do taxes. So yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed it. The support's always appreciated. Feel free to share this with your friends, your loved ones. Like it if you like it, dislike it if you didn't. I want you guys to type Bojangles in the comments if you did make it to this part in the video. It's an hour and 28. Well, it might not be an hour and 28. It might be a little bit lesser then because we got to trim some fat, preferably off my belly. And yeah, just type Bojangles. And what part you liked about the podcast. What would you like to see in the future, maybe? We could probably, I think Money probably like take some ideas down the road when we get our sea legs fully developed.
Yeah, ideas, questions, topic suggestions, anything like that.
Yeah, but we will not bash, we will not hate, and we will not assassinate, okay? You guys all do that on the dark web, all right? Just letting you know where our services stand. I'm a Christian. All right, so our socials will be on the screen that I will put on down the road, and also be in the description as well. So, Money, anything else you'd like to add?
Nope, just like I said, man, enjoy your hobbies, life, games, movies. Enjoy it. It's all supposed to be fun, entertainment. Don't let it tilt you too hard. Don't let it get you too out of whack. It's okay to discuss. It's okay to dislike. It's okay. It's okay to critique. But yeah, just don't get too crazy on it, man. Y'all be peaceful out there.
Yeah. And with that, the Bible said it was early in the afternoon. I love how that sounds. So take a deep breath with us and say it with us. Stay happy, stay healthy. Don't do anything we wouldn't do except like the Joker movie.
Oh.
But always keep on being creative, and we will see you all in the next episode. I've been Marcell.
This is Money Green.
You, the wonderful viewer, are a blessing. Take care, good night, and God bless. Goodbye. What is brunch?